Hello. So, this week on my weekly bar chat, or bar-like chat, I still don't know what to call this. I've got a dear friend joining me, Anita Rani. She's a broadcaster. She's a bit of a national treasure on the TV and that. Hi, Ninja. How are you? So Anita Rani, like I say, is a bit of a British national treasure. And I don't mean like an old building. Hi, Aksha. She is more like a TV icon. There you go. Easy, Keshav. How you doing, bro? Thank you for joining, everybody. So yes, like I said, Anita Rani is my guest this week. Old friend and sometime raving buddy. We've got a long and storied history, which I'm sure we'll get into. There you go. There's Anita. Woohoo! I will look at the request and add her. Here we go. Going live with Anita Rani. Woohoo!
Technology works.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good.
You, Rani. You're looking like a Rani. You look well good.
Do I? I don't feel it. I'm pretty knackered today, actually. How's the sound in here, by the way? I'm in my back room. I never do anything in my back room.
It sounds good to me.
Good.
Yeah.
How are
Can
you?
you hear me and stuff?
I can hear you great. The technology works. Can I just say, I managed to do this without having to call you to ask you how to do it. As well as being one of my oldest and best mates, Nerm, you're also my tech support.
It is a ridiculous situation that I'm in, where all of my mates just call me up for tech support, and you're one of them. Yeah, I'm privileged to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Well done. And also, I like this Wednesday chat that I've been doing because it gives me an excuse to wash. I got cleaned up and stuff.
Oh, yeah? Is this you washed?
It's me washed.
I can't smell you, so I don't know. You've been doing well. You've had some great guests. It's nice. What number am I? Number 74?
13, actually.
13 on the list. All right.
Wait, actually, a second. No, you're 12. You're 12. It's 12. Yeah, we've had some really good people on. I thought, obviously, the reason why I've kept you so late is because we know each other so well, and I'm terrified I'm going to say some shit I'm not meant to. And
you won't.
I wouldn't.
You won't.
You won't.
I won't. What's been going on?
Where did you come from with your face all pretty and that? Did you?
No, I was at my. So I've had quite a busy day actually. Today was actually amazing. It's the first time I've been back in a recording studio, doing voiceover since lockdown. So it felt like quite a momentous day. But I normally head into Soho because that's where all the post-production houses are. That's where I go and lay my voice down for like TV voiceovers. But I sort of refused to have to go into town. So like, there must be somewhere near my house, and I found this amazing recording studio like down the road. So,
yeah, I mean, it's East London. There's a shed load of studios around here, surely.
What have I been doing for the last 20 years now?
I know. I mean, I'm just thinking actually, we could do it here, but we've got to socially isolate. So there's that as well.
Yeah, no, I found one, like a really nice one, and they do like they do stuff for Peppa Pig there, so I'm in good company.
Nice.
Yes, I said Peppa Pig.
Dude, actually, that's a story. Shit, can I talk about this? I don't know whether I can. On. It's one of the voiceovers.
I want to talk about music, by the way. I want to talk about everything, but anyway.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so should we start at the beginning, like how we met?
Yeah. What? Tell everyone how you stalked me.
What? Fuck off. No, you came to my warehouse party.
I did. Okay, so you know what? I have actually talked about this publicly, and in I think newspapers have kind of made quite a big deal about me meeting my husband at a rave, like
really?
Asian woman in rave, shock horror. But
in a rave run by a bunch of brown people.
Yeah, I've talked about it, and it's going to be like the opening scene to my memoir, film, screenplay, stage production / all of the above. So yeah, so the cut a long story short, grew up in Bradford, had quite a white environment, quite an Asian environment as well, but pretty white. And then my mum was constantly wondering when I was going to kind of, meet the Indian crew. Went to Leeds Uni, like rave culture was my thing, drum and bass, hip hop, music. And then all of a sudden Asian underground was happening at that time. And finally it was like, oh my God, music that actually speaks to me, like Talvin Singh, Nitin Sawhney, just loads of stuff coming out on Outcast. And it was like all these amazing music was coming out. And then finally got to London in 2001 and made my way. Like I used to basically spend Friday nights on my own listening to music, and pretty rubbish at going out. And it was Hermit, who was John Peel's broadcast assistant, who,
On Radio 1, big up Hermit.
Big up Hermit, right? So John Peel, everyone remembers John Peel. And there was a Punjabi Glaswegian lad called Hermit, who was his broadcast assistant. And the first time I met him, he was like,
are you going to do the accent and fuck it up? Are you going to offend everyone in fucking Scotland by talking?
Is anyone from Scotland? Is anyone from Scotland watching this? No. All right. It's like a Punjabi lass with a Yorkshire accent, and I went, oh fucking hell! Oh, sorry, I swore.
I can swear. I don't think
a Punjabi lad with a Scottish accent. Anyway, he was like, listen, there's a party you should come to. Let's go. And I was like, Ugh. And anyway, we ended up coming to your warehouse, and it was like flipping heck. All the brown misfits from all over the country were congregated in this one beautifully sweaty space.
And it was full of, it was like a rainbow of misfits.
Yeah, but quite a lot.
But loads of brown people as well.
Quite a lot. And what made me laugh? This is the detail that I loved more than anything. You were selling samosa.
You're such a bastard. I can't believe you're selling this. It's not true, but go on, carry on.
It's so true, because I remember stealing one.
I reckon okay, so we were not selling samosa. First of all, it was a warehouse party, which we thought, okay, it was donations. First of all, we didn't have a license. So yeah, it wasn't for sale. And also, I didn't have anything to do with that.
Okay, so you don't deny it was happening. I'm telling you, it was happening. It was just lovely. Listen, it's a lovely little detail.
Yeah,
I don't think you should worry about this.
No, it's because you take the piss out of me being Gujarati all the time. And Gujarati, for those watching, is meant to be really sort of like a bit sharp on the money, keep an eye on the cash. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, mate, I haven't brought that up. I'm not bringing in the racial stereotypes.
I'm saying it. That's why. Just knowing you. Yeah. Anyway, so that's how we met. And then the second time was after the last warehouse party happened, and you were doing a live broadcast on the Asian network from Brick Lane.
Yes. Yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that. That was weird. Yeah, so I was working at the Asian network many moons ago, and they brought us down to the Vibe Bar on Brick Lane, and I did a live show, and Nerm turned up with his band of
I was invited on as a guest.
And he was invited on, and he stumbled in with his band of merry men and women.
Because it was the interview was
Vegos Musa.
Oh, Akshar's saying Vegos. It was me and Veg, both. What do you mean Veg or samosa? They were both.
As in veg or meat. Sorry, I can't veg for me, veg all day long, all day.
Oh, meat for me. I love a bit of meat.
Veg. I know
but yeah, so anyway, forget that. I was invited on to your breakfast show as a guest, and it just so happened that my warehouse party ended at 8 a.m. and we were on your show at 9, and I was a mess.
No, you were great. I don't remember. Yeah. I remember. I must have just thought, who's this clown?
Exactly. and then we became
colleagues. We just hung out.
We hung out. Yeah.
We've hung out loads. We've hung out loads. We'll give you an exclusive. Nerm is the man who introduced me to my husband. Da da da. Like nobody knows that. I always talk about this mystery. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, Anyway, yeah. So he's responsible for that. And
Anita's mum loves me.
She does.
And Buffy's mum loves me.
Yeah, they love your wife more. They love your wife more.
That's true. But aunties kind of like me. I'm kind of popular with the aunties. You know what I'm saying?
But it was music that brought us together. I tell you what I do remember. I remember before you knew me. This is good. And this kind of brings like lots of little elements of people we know together. Before you knew me, and Foreign Beggars were playing at Great Eastern. Was it Great Eastern?
Great Eastern what?
No, not Great Eastern. Sorry, what's it called? Bloody where Buppy's office used to be. 93 feet east.
Yeah,
Thank you. Bloody hell. Yeah. Turning into a right auntie. 93 feet east. Oh my God.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. I know it's still there. You wouldn't go there though.
They've re-rented. Actually, the last time I was there was with you.
Oh yes, we went for that stag do. Oh yeah, I do. Actually, it was wicked. So anyway, 93 feet east, and Foreign Beggars were playing, and I turned up with one of my oldest best mates, Adrian, and we didn't really know each other then. Do you remember? And you were like, "Oh, yeah, so you like music?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I like music."
Yeah, I think I did have
Remember?
I had an idea about you as being a broadcaster. So someone that can basically talk about anything and but not really know things in depth. So when I challenged you on music, I was like, oh, cha, she knows her shit.
Because I'm a woman.
No, just because you're a brown broadcaster. I mean, how many like that's it? It's just a general thing.
Yeah, I guess I smash a few stereotypes.
Because you're a woman, like I think about things in that way. Please.
What's all good? What's people saying? Indian street scene. I loved you in the movie, by the way, Nerm. Your amazing movie.
Yes, I was in a film, which is on Netflix. Is that Prince or Donald Trump on the wall? It's obviously Prince. Why would it be Donald Trump? That is clearly Prince.
Yeah, exactly.
How the hell is that Donald Trump? Are you kidding me? No, man. Oh, yeah, someone's asking about your recipes. So this is an interesting switch. So I'm quite taken by this because, so obviously lockdown happened. I decided to start broadcasting and talking to my buddies and doing mixes and things and music stuff. And I thought I'd, chat to my badass friends on like a bar kind of conversation as opposed to an interview. So I have a few drinks and catch up with my mates. You have decided to cook.
Yeah, I'm doing loads of shit, but cooking basically came about because everyone was bulk buying. Remember when everyone went mad and thought the world was ending? I mean, it kind of is a little bit, and just decided that they all needed to buy chickpeas in bulk. So I kind of laughed and said to Puppy and a few mates, better tell people what to do with the tin of chickpeas. And so it just turned into me making chana masala that night. And then, but just people loved it because I think there's just something, well, for me, cooking, I love cooking anyway, right? I just love eating good food and knowing what I'm cooking. And I find it really therapeutic and creative. And I have music on and I'm just in my zone. But during lockdown, it's been really nice to tap into the food of that I grew up with, my Punjabi home-cooked recipes that my mum cooked for me. Yeah. And there's just been something very nurturing about eating the food from my childhood and sharing it with people, and then people are actually cooking it now. People are loving Rani's recipes.
Rani's recipes, that's wicked. I could see a book deal on the fucking horizon.
It better be.
And actually, do you know what? It's a weird thing, right? So, I mean, I'm not a mainstream kind of guy, right? You've gone from doing, in fact, so I got on the Asian Network just as you kind of left, bizarrely. So we were calling, I think we had a crossover for a bit, maybe like, I don't know, 1 or 2 shows. But then from there to like presenting the royal wedding and then bloody Strictly and all this kind of stuff, you've gone on to kind of become this British sweetheart on the telly, which is kind of a mad trajectory. But one thing that people tend to miss is your Bake Off like win.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Which is nuts. By the way, the movie that I was in on Netflix is called What Are the Odds?
And What Are the Odds? And please, everyone watch it. It's super, super, super sweet. And it's just a really good, it should be like a proper cult hit because it's just a great little quirky, offbeat movie that's come out of India. And Nerm's in it. And he's
playing
himself.
Very similar to me.
You're the best thing in it, mate.
Ah, thanks, love. But yeah, it's like John Hughes meets Wes Anderson in India.
Yeah, it's quite Wes Anderson, actually. It's that's a big compliment. Oh. And a bit Noah Baumbach as well. Like,
who's that?
He's the guy who did Thumbsucker, and he kind of goes out with Greta Gerwig now. They're kind of like the indie king and queen of indie cinema, basically, in America. You'll know his stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so going back to what I was saying about your leap from being like Sunrise Radio, Asian Network, so very sort of like, and then Desi DNA, which is like the 3 brownest things, to like.
Hey, Desi was proper cult classic, man. I've got a lot of time and respect for Desi.
Oh yeah, I was on it like twice. I mean, of course, but I mean, I was just saying like, but to go from that to like doing the royal wedding and Country Fire and all that kind of stuff, it's a pretty mad leap. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because people always ask me, and like loads of journalists have asked me about that, like, oh, you've done so much stuff, but there is no like set trajectory. And what's interesting, Nerm, is I'll probably talk to you more truthfully and honestly because it feels like, I am talking to family. No, I'm drinking water actually, sadly.
Oh.
Funny. Yeah, I know. Hopefully husband will come home with some booze. What was I saying? Yeah. So I loved working at the Asian Network, but actually I kind of made an active choice because after about a year and a half working there, I thought no one else is going to kind of spot me and say, you should go and work elsewhere. They're just going to leave me to sit and work here. And I could, you know, do the job and it's great. But I've got kind of, I feel like if you rate brown broadcasters, then have us in the mix. Do you know what I mean? Like users, and my ambition and my kind of what I want to do is never just working in one little sector.
Yeah, because like doing a country file as like who the hell would have thought that?
But we're not defined by our ethnicity, are we? Right? It's just one aspect of who we are. We are so many more. We're so much more. And I think somebody actually asked me about Countryfile. They said to me, how important is it for the Asian community that you're on Countryfile, right? And I was like, the Asian community are proud of me.
Doesn't really care, do they? Do they?
Well, they're proud of me and they follow me where I go. And the ones that watch Countryfile love that I'm on it. But it's more important for the rest of Britain that I'm on Countryfile, right? It's more important for everyone else to see that brown people can go in the countryside and just be and not combust, you know?
But then, yeah, they won't spontaneously sort of just pop. You know, actually, what Siona's just saying, Anita's the big sis I've always wanted. She's kind of like my big little sister too. I kind of know what you mean.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of everyone's big sis. I quite like that role.
But you're also an idiot, so you're kind of like my little sister as well. It's like big little sister.
Got to be a bit of an idiot, haven't you?
That's true. That's
anyway,
true.
No, don't give too much away, man. I don't want people to know how much of an idiot. I think people know. But yeah, the royal wedding was mad. The royal wedding was mad. Actually, I've done the double. I've done both.
Have you?
Yeah, I did Meghan and Harry and Kate and William.
Fucking hell. That's nuts.
It's mad, isn't it?
See, as a Republican myself, I'm like, okay. But as a brown person, I'm like, oh, shabash. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you know, whatever you feel about, however you feel about it, it's still like a momentous occasion for the country, and to be asked to be part of that. I mean, you know, my mum and dad were like, yeah, I know. I felt great to be there, especially Windsor Castle. I saw Oprah. Never mind, I saw the actual Queen. Oprah walked past me.
What did you touch her clothing? Did you come up with some stroke her ruffle a little bit as she inhale her perfume?
And obviously, like, my phone was going mad because all my in-laws were all going, have you seen Priyanka Chopra yet? Have you seen Priyanka Chopra? I was like, no, I've not seen Priyanka Chopra yet. Well,
I love how you went properly northern. I ain't seen her yet.
No, Priyanka Chopra hasn't shown up yet. Oh. Don't worry, I'll let you know when she does.
Bugger off and leave me alone. I'll send you a message. Yeah. But I mean, actually, so there's one of the things, not one of the several things that I want to talk to you about, but the raving aspect of it as well. Because again, I was taken aback by how like into drum and bass and how like you're down musically, except for your initial love of the Smiths. That's one thing I'm still not a fan of.
Don't even. I've got an amazing, I was going to bring it down, it's actually upstairs. I love the Smiths. Honestly, I'm
even now, even with Morrissey. Doing.
No, listen, like your heroes can disappoint you.
That's
like
true.
Woody Allen, you know, Harvey Weinstein. Did we stop watching these guys' movies because of the fact that they all turned out to be assholes?
Do you know what Nikita said actually on our chat? Okay, so I asked Nikita, I was like, you know, so many of the people that you love turn out to be dicks, right? Or there's some part of their past that you're just like, you know, you just destroyed it for me. And what would you do? And she gave the best response. I was just she's like, well, instead of amplifying anything about that person, I will find 5 women in that field and lift them up.
Amazing. Amazing.
Like, what an amazing response, rather than sort of, you know, adding to the proliferation of the bad person.
Of them, yeah.
It was just an amazing
Absolutely.
response.
So we could talk about 5 female artists that I'm listening to right now, rather than talking about, although, you know, Johnny Marr. So
I don't know. Oh, I mean, I don't know about that. Tell me about that.
Johnny Marr is amazing. The guitar, the reason the Smiths were the Smiths, in my humble opinion.
See, I don't know. I'm a Prince fan.
Yes, I know. I love Prince.
Talk about like.
Let's talk about something better then. Different music.
The thing. Talk about you being on the telly and being someone that looks like other brown women is so fucking amazing. Because I actually thought about this when it was Prince's birthday, and I was like, growing up in Birmingham in the early to mid 80s, there were no sort of Asian role models that I, as a weird musical freak looking the way I do, could look up to. There was just no one there. And there was Prince, and I was just like, there's someone that kind of looks a little bit like me. And then so it's kind of cool that people have got you, which is just lovely.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
yeah.
I think, you know, and that's exactly what it's about, right? We need people who look like us to make us feel that we can be in that space and that you can connect to. But we have been able to do that with people that are nothing like us. We've been able to see the universal in people that don't look anything like us. And I guess for the generation before us, it was, you know, David Bowie, you know, the Misfits, the kind of just to reach out to people. But yeah, I guess very different to a lot of the girls growing up in Bradford, because I did sit in my room and listen to a lot of bands and music like the Smiths or the Pixies, Happy Mondays, Stone Roses, and then got into dance music and got big into drum and bass and a lot of hip hop, and I say this, I didn't listen to a lot of R&B, Bhangra. I mean, I did. It was in my world, but it wasn't what I was consuming in my bedroom.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, you wouldn't go and seek it out. It was just it was around you, right?
But I used to do that radio show. I did radio shows and Sunrise Radio for years from the age of 14. And I used to do, when I went through a phase of doing like the weekly Bhangra show, but I subverted it into being the weekly Asian Underground show. And then when I got to leave, in fact, what did I find? I've got this, right? I've got some mad vinyl down here. Right, this is such a look. There's a bloody brilliant. It's Ballysugu, right? It's Johnny Capiche. What year is this from? Bollywood flashback. But there is a brilliant gypsy. There's a house mix on it. There's some really good mixes.
See, on what people don't know about Bally is that he's a fucking gangster.
He is a total gangster.
When he got signed to Sony Colombia over here, do you know who did a remix for him for Tum Bin Jia?
Hang on, I do know this.
You know who did it?
Go on, tell me.
Groove Rider.
No.
Yeah, Groove Rider did a remix of Tum Bin Jia by Ballysugu, and I've got it, and it's fucking brilliant. And
I'm going to have to listen to that.
I'll send it to you. I'm sure I've played it to you. I'm sure it's on one of our late night playing music stuff.
And I even had a CD. I was probably like one of the 3 people who had your charged CD as well. I've got it in my CD collection upstairs somewhere. I've got it.
Deeps on the message, Mr. Deeps, big up. This is like Wham Bam, the mixtape from Ballysugu was incredible.
Yes, totally. And you know, we kind of lived through that. Actually, well, talking about great music, we're going to end up talking about Bhangra, aren't we? But there was a great era. Like there was some amazing bands and producers.
Totally. But even then, I think Charged with Harvinder, who's okay. So I was in a punk band called Charged, signed to Nation Records years ago, and no one's got this fucking album at all.
I've got it. So apart from me, living in Bradford, whatever year it was, I've got it in my CD collection, of which my CD collection is extensive. But anyway, and I'll never get rid of it. Sorry, Nerm, go on, talk about
No, you were talking. Please carry on.
I don't know where we got to. I was just rabbiting about subverting the Bhangra show on the Sunrise Radio to an Asian Underground show, and then went to Leeds Uni and got a show at the brilliant, quite prestigious Leeds Student Radio, like really, really amazing.
Sorry, Dee's just said Decode, who's fam.
All right, Dee.
Ballysugu's the Indian Liam Howlett.
Yeah.
From the Prodigy, which is pretty accurate.
And then I did the Asian. I did a show on Leeds Student Radio, which was an Asian Underground show.
Dude, actually, someone said, please do a music show. Do you know what, Anita? Should we do one when this one's done? Should we record one together? Yeah,
totally. You know, Nerm, right? In another
we've been talking about doing shit together forever, and it's never happened.
I think if the trajectory had been slightly different, and if the world had been ready for a brown girl who's really into dance music, it would have all played out very differently.
Okay, well, actually...
But we've got some great, amazing brown girls doing their thing now. Right,
exactly. And big up Sweetie, who's on this. And
big up Sweetie. Sweetie's the queen.
The original brown woman doing shit is Sweetie,
absolutely. Sweetie's
promoted the hooker, Talvin's night. So, I mean...
She's the OG.
Totally. But I was going to say, we've been talking about doing something together for ages, and I just had a flashback to the one project that we kind of almost worked together on, which is when you did the one show and I was in a bit of it and you did a voiceover, and it was like, what the hell? That was our only professional overlap, and that's it.
Yeah.
Ages ago, when I did that Swastika documentary.
Swastika doc, yeah. I remember that. But we should do something music. Let's do music. We could just whatever. I don't know. Look. I've even sat in front of some records.
You can tell how old we are. We've basically got the same setups behind us.
I know. These blooming IKEA things, do they even still have them? They're amazing. They're perfectly designed.
These are custom, love, you know.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm more fancy in that.
Yeah, he's more fancy. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm still with these blooming IKEA things, which are bingo.
Lovely. Hi, Shani. She's joined as well. This is actually Sweetie Sega documentary. That's the other thing. So for all your mainstream stuff, this is kind of cool because you do all this other kind of stuff that may or may not be up my street, to be brutally honest, because I'm not a mainstream kind of guy.
Yeah,
but
you're
then,
not a country folk kind of guy.
Do you know what I mean? And you know, I don't actually watch TV anymore, which is bizarre because I watch like Netflix because I'm on Netflix. So I watch like other stuff. But the thing is, there's stuff like your partition documentary, which was just fucking amazing. Like that was astounding in terms of work you've done that has changed people's opinions. So do you want to explain what it was?
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm really proud of that. Like, it's probably one of my proudest moments. So I made amazingly got asked to do Who Do You Think You Are, which is a program that traces your family history. And that took me off to Punjab, and it took me off to find out about my amazing grandfather. And I discovered my family history in the partition of India. And it's really tragic, as a lot of people's was. But whilst I was making it, I very quickly realized that I was telling the story of millions of people. And I really felt that there was unfinished business because I hadn't crossed the border and gone into Pakistan to see where my grandfather's like home had been, just at the point of when the countries were split. And so, yeah, there was an anniversary coming up, and I went to the Beeb and said, listen, I have to make a documentary, and this is how I see it, envisage it. We take people to tell their story, and we've got to tell it from all different sides. The Muslim angle, the Hindu story, the Sikh story, which we might, but also, crucially, the white British story. Like, you know, Britain had been there for over 200 years, and there were families who were like 4 generations deep, who also have a story there. And this moment happened where, like, people were just so flabbergasted and shocked and horrified by the history, but also how little we knew about it. Like, how do we know? We seemingly know everything about, you know, the wonderful colonialism, what they did for India, like the judiciary, the language, you know, building the railways.
Us being over here now.
Yeah, exactly. But like, no one knew what happened at the end of empire. Like this hideous, just absolute clusterfuck that happened at the end of empire, right? Just horrible piece of history. And I had this moment where, and it won quite a few awards and all that sort of stuff, but it was but the best thing for me was that so many people have come up to me, Asian kids across the board, all religions, have come up to me and said, for the first time, Anita, we're now talking about this in our household. And like, you made us speak to our grandparents and our parents to find out. They've never spoken about it. For the first time, they're finally like sitting down as families and talking about, you know, what's happened to within their own families. So, yeah, that was amazing.
That is pretty cool. I remember seeing the preview of that and being quite taken. And because it's the BBC and it has been taken by the story and swept up in the emotion of it. And I've got to be honest, I saw it and I was like, because it's the BBC and they have to present all sides, the white British experience of it was something new to me. And I was kind of concerned that there'd be a bit like, what's the word? A bit kind of pat on the backy about it, a bit kind of there. Or,
yeah, but they were.
You know, yeah, and it was. I was quite impressed with how honest they were about it.
I think that's to do with we had a brilliant director and a really good team, and it was dealt with really sensitively and really fairly, I think. And it was really important for it to be fair because everyone's story had to be told. And it was horrendous, but as well as it being horrendous, and I hope people can see it. I think someone's actually put it up on YouTube. Maybe you could put the link up or something, or we'll put it up. But there was also real humanity in that time as well. And people were, there's an amazing story about a Bengali Hindu family who were having to get out of what became East Pakistan, later Bangladesh, but they were saved. Their entire family was rescued by a Muslim family.
Yeah.
The Muslim family hid them because they'd lived for generations as neighbors, you know, as brothers and sisters. And so it was the Muslim family that saved their life. And I think these are the stories we have to remember and cling on to as well, you know.
Yeah.
But I had this time where I was in the Covent Garden Flower Market at 4 in the morning filming for the One show. And it was after I'd done Strictly as well. It all happened at the same time. And this big, burly white guy came up to me and went, Anita Rani. And I thought, oh, God, here we go. He wants to talk to me about Strictly. And he kind of came up to me and sort of like tenderly sort of grabbed my wrists and just went, I just want to thank you for making that program about your history and about partition. He said, I just knew nothing about it. And I just connected to the humanity in it. And he said, I can't even talk to you now without getting tears in my eyes. And he welled up. And yeah. It was it's a very moving.
It was. I needed a drink straight after seeing it, actually. I think we came to that preview in Soho of it.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I need a drink. It was quite heavy.
Yeah, it is.
It must have been really fucking heavy for you, actually, going there and doing it.
Yeah, it was incredibly heavy. It is. But you know what? It's history and it needs to be told. It was a really full-on experience and I was totally immersed in it, and it was my family story as well. But it needs to be told, and also it's not as heavy as it was for the people who lived through it.
Yeah, and it's a privilege for us to sort of actually hear those stories, you know what I mean, let alone imagine them.
I think it's really important that the conversations take place now amongst families, because it takes a generation. And our parents' generation, they just, you know, there's that kind of respect with their elders. And my mum it's like, how did you not ask your dad this stuff? How did you not know that he had a daughter before he married your mum? And it's like, oh, we just never asked.
I mean, you know exactly that. Is that they never talk about any dark, like heavy shit. You know what I mean? They just kind of bury that stuff. Unless it's time to explode, and then they just fucking put it all out there.
Yeah, and we can't, I mean, it is very, very dark as well. So, you know, it's good. And also I think it's just really important for now, the kind of younger generation to know who we are. And it's all about pride in our identity, knowing our history, right?
Yeah.
I think
you know what? I think actually thinking about this, with just even thinking about my parents and shit, I'm talking to you like we're actually face to face. So maybe I should control myself, but, and you know, not talk so openly. But thinking about with, conversations with my parents, I think there's a lot of shame attached to it. There's a lot of kind of sort of sweeping shit under the carpet that you don't want to talk about because it's so shameful and it's just difficult for them to process. So it's almost like the British stiff upper lip. It's like,
completely.
Right, we'll just carry on with this shit and it's fine.
Completely. I always say I've got the double whammy, right, of suppression. I've got the British stiff upper lip and the Asian baggage, shame baggage. Basically everything is shame. We can't talk about anything. Anything, because it's just crippling. I went to India to make a documentary about there's a diabetes pandemic, right? In India, they've got diabetes.
We hung out in Bombay, there, right?
So basically, every time me and Nerm meet up with each other in India quite a bit. We've met. I love it. I love our little India get-togethers. And there was one time when I was there making a documentary about. So India has it's not a time bomb waiting to happen. It's happened. It's got diabetes and obesity, right? And it's happening in children.
It's ghee. It's all about ghee.
Yeah. It's complicated, isn't it? It's lots of different things. It's this new sedentary lifestyle. Nobody works in the fields anymore. It's the influence of Western McDonald's. Everyone wants a burger.
But also, it's a sign of wealth, right? It's a sign that you made it, so you don't have to do anything, so I can afford to be fat, so whatever.
And, you know, historically, we've loved a chubby kid because exactly that. It's like the wealthy, fat firstborn son. There was that brilliant Goodness Gracious Me sketch with the Punjabi kid going, chicken, chicken. I mean, that's it. But so we filmed with this family, this lovely family in Pune, and their daughter did all the filming. And like right before we kind of getting to the end of the filming, we had a few different like contributors that we filmed with. They phoned us up, they phoned the producer up and went, we don't want this to go out on TV. Our family doesn't even know that she's got diabetes. Like nobody will marry her if they know this.
Like that.
We're like, hang on a minute. What did you think was happening when we were like in your home? But obviously, fine, of course, we're not going to put it out if you don't want it to be out. But it was the shame. It was like, hang on, we don't want our family to know. And also we don't want other people to know because she's 16 and already they're thinking about her potential marriage. Yeah, I mean, shame is, I always talk to like Catholic mates when they talk about Catholic guilt. I'm like, don't worry.
Not all about that.
We know all about it.
But this is, again, I think that's probably why we get on so well and why we met in the rave. The whole idea of going out to rave was like a sort of reclamation of your own shit and just like, fuck it, I'm going to be myself with a bunch of people that I can be myself in front of, rather than have to worry about any of this guilt or any of this shame. And a similar sort of release with music, I'm sure.
Completely. I think that's exactly it. I think I think at that time, do you know, I was telling somebody, it was a young researcher in a car once, quite a few years ago, about us hanging out, me coming to London, finding you guys, just kind of finding this little crew of mates, and how it was all about the music, and we're just like this band of misfits. And it was at that time where Asian Underground was happening in the end of the 90s. And she was like this little Indian girl, and she was like, you're so lucky. You're so lucky that you've got that, that community, and that you lived in that time, because my generation don't have it. And I don't know, I mean, I guess there is stuff going on now, you know, and you find your people. But we were, you know, when you feel that you don't fit into whatever the world is around you, and then you find people that make you feel like they're your family, then
totally.
Yeah.
Well, I think the interesting thing for me has been seeing what's happening in sort of musical culture recently. And there was a period around about 20, and you know all of this shit, so I'm just saying this as a recap, basically. But there was a period around about 2012, so we've been on Radio 1, Six Music was happening, all that kind of stuff. There's like, you know...
I was on Six Music.
You were on Six Music before me, you basket. It's ridiculous.
I was on it all the time.
Before me. I was so upset. I'm like, what? That's my station, you basket.
What are you talking about? I was listening to Six Music when it first started, and I was on it, like, back in the day.
I know, and I was jealous. I was on Radio 1 when you were on Six. I was like, what? No. Actually, do you remember that? Actually, I can't talk about that, but yes. That bouncer. Yeah. No. Anyway.
Sorry, guys.
Anyway, that's a separate story, but that just came to my mind. No, but the thing I was getting at was, shit, I forgot my train of thought. What did I say?
Six Music.
New cool shit happening. So the thing is that post, like me and D on Radio 1 and post all that kind of stuff, and Foreign Beggars like getting in the top 10, which was bizarre, and Engineers touring with the Streets, and like Riz smashing it, like all this kind of cool shit. I was just like, wicked, we broke through. And then you know what? Nothing. So 2012, it was like, oh, I thought we'd made it, we could relax it. No, nothing. And then, while I was expecting a whole other wave of new sort of young producers to come through, there was a wave of brand women that just smashed the shit out of everything, which was amazing. So the Tuts, Ms. Mohammed, Nadia Iqbal, Nadine Shah, all these women just fucking stepped up and just blew a whole new scene open, which was amazing. And so I think that I was really heartened. I was like, oh shit, this is what I dreamt of my entire life. So similar to that, the person you were talking to in the car that expressed that, I feel that still. I'm just like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still a long way to go. And what you were saying about, you know, Engineers and Foreign Beggars and all that, you know, and absolutely, it was amazing. And they're all still doing great. I mean, come on, Prash is smashing it as a producer. You know, Pavan's doing his thing, and everyone's kind of out there doing their thing. You know, we know. I mean,
look at Riz.
Riz, exactly. The person I was about to say. Look at Riz. Like people are, and these are guys and girls who have been grafting, right? They've been grafting from day one.
Just want to clarify. So Diamond's saying Jay Sean was doing his thing. We're talking about underground people, and talking about Jay Paul, for example.
Oh, amazing. But absolutely, Jay Sean, Diamond said Jay Sean is a good reference. You know, he went to America, he had a big success. We're talking back, and these are people who are like worked. Nobody is in overnight success. No one's just got plucked from obscurity, and everybody's grafted. But just quickly on this, you know, because I do, like, we know lots of people, and I'm really lucky that, you know, heroes of mine are now like mates. And I know that Mira Sayal and Sanjeev Bhaskar and these kind of pioneers who broke through originally, when Goodness Gracious Me happened and all that kind of moment, they felt that there was a moment happening, and that's it, we've arrived. And then nothing. So I don't know what the answer is now. We just got to keep playing.
Just keep going on. But I guess what I was trying to get at was that I think that I was heartened that there was another wave of people like The Other Box, or there's just so many cool things that are happening done by brown women when they were pre-COVID. Not right now, obviously.
That's because brown women are very, very, very smart.
No shit. Of course they are.
We actually are.
I mean, and
I think without getting too, like, well, I'm not going to apologize for being a feminist. Surprise, she's a feminist. I think brown girls have always known, growing up in brown households, that no one's going to do it for us. Like, the boys are going to get it sorted on some level. The boys will be all good. So the girls, we just work really hard. Like, even within our own families, girls just know that I've got to do for me. So, and we just come, you know, there's some, I'm very, very proud of all the brilliant, badass brown girls out there who are just on the next level.
Absolutely killing it.
Absolutely.
I think that there's, like I said, Nikita's just, I'm such a fan of hers.
Oh, yeah.
And
no. She's a goddess.
just
It's
such a gangster. Like, such a gangster. And obviously, I was going back to the literary world. Like, what Nikesh did to kind of revolutionize brown publishing as well. And elevate people that of every minority and gender, just like, pow. I big up Nikesh. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But I just, and actually put on the map and actually call things out, you know, to have the balls, to have the cojones to
it's got to be difficult for you to tread that line because you're so fucking mainstream, and then to also then like own like what you believe in. It's really hard to get that balance because I couldn't do it. I like that mainstream stuff. I was on Richard and Judy once and I was like, fuck this shit. I can't handle it.
It's different. We're in different worlds though, aren't we? It's like, you know, I've got to do my thing, right? I'm doing my thing. And also to get here is like my hustle. And also, but you're right. Once you're there, for a long time, I've not said anything because the climate and the environment we've been in, but also it's my own kind of hustle, as you say. And I speak through my projects, right? So I make a program about partition because I feel it's really important to tell our story. And someone actually, the coolest thing someone said to me about that whole thing, because I've had so many amazing things said to that partition program about how it's opened up conversations and it's changed the way they think and it's you know, made them think about history, da 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 da. But someone said, Anita, overnight you made it cool to speak Punjabi. I was like, all right.
See, that's honestly, so you know, in fact, it was on the trip we went. Okay, so Anita's like basically family, so we've known each other for years and we've become very close. And yes, I introduced her to her husband, and we've also been on holiday together. So we went to Rome, and on that flight to Rome, I'll get to another story about that.
Hang on, the second flight, because we missed the first one.
That was Amsterdam.
Oh, that was Amsterdam.
Was it? One of them.
Hang on, yeah. We've missed the flight to Amsterdam.
Yeah. So Rome, it was when Sam, State of Bengal, rest in peace, Sam, passed away, and I like wrote that whole
eulogy. No,
was it a eulogy? Well, I wrote an article about Sam basically, and there was one point where I was just like, you know, from before 1997, before like Asian Underground. So I'm not saying it was Rome. It was Rome. But we missed the flight to Rome. Okay, we did miss the flight. Okay, yeah, whatever. So yeah, we missed the flight to Rome. Anyway, whatever. The whole point I was trying to get to, long story, sorry guys. And I'm burping.
I think people are properly getting an insight into the way we roll and they're like, anyway, blah, 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 blah. What were we talking about? I don't know. Okay, when we missed the flight. Okay,
this is it.
Hang on, do you even remember the point?
Yes.
Okay.
So, easy Bailey. Blakey? Blakey is the person. Anyway, whatever.
Blakey!
No, it's not our Blakey. It's
right, Blakey. Sorry.
But Bailey's here, DJ Bailey.
Amazing.
Yeah. I was going to say, so on the flight to Rome, I wrote a eulogy for, well, a sort of in memoriam, whatever. I wrote a thing about a friend who'd passed away called State of Bengal. Sam, amazing producer, just total gangster, changed the whole of club culture for brown people forever. And it occurred to me that before 1997, I was picked on and seen as like a dirty P word and bullied. And then 1997 happened, and then suddenly I was the hottest accessory on everyone's arm. And it was quite a distinction, night and day in Birmingham at least. It was like, it was a night and day division. Goodness gracious me was part of that. The whole sort of thing from being an underclass to suddenly being cool was an amazing switch. And I guess that kind of feeds into what you were talking about, where that kind of Asian cool thing, or whatever the hell you want to call it, was quite Sweetie's saying I wrote it for Rolling Stone. Yeah, it was Rolling Stone. Yeah. But yeah, that whole point where that acceptability of your own culture in a cool way was so fucking like amazing.
I think I've always been really proud of my culture, and like I've had this But people wouldn't know that. People wouldn't know that. I was
really embarrassed until 97.
No, but I mean, I guess people wouldn't know that. Like I remember, I'll tell you this, right? This is something I would only tell you. I remember when Somebody told me when I got the job when they got my show reel for Desi DNA, I was working at Channel 5 doing a live TV show at Channel 5. And they the whole team were watching, and half of the team were like, no, she won't know anything about Bollywood because she's obviously too anglicized, right? She's basically a coconut, so what's she going to know? And I guess that is kind of some inverse kind of snobbery that I've had to overcome. But I don't mind it, actually, because it's like, until you've met me, you don't know. You don't know how rooted I am, actually, and how proud I am. Well, but in the right way, right? Not in the right way. Like, I'm proud of the good stuff.
I'm in the right. Yeah, that's the point. That's entirely the whole point. Is that I know a whole load of actors from that scene that are not pricks, which is kind of nice. You just got to not be a prick in that whole scene.
Don't be a prick. That's it. Just don't be an arsehole.
Very simple. Wow, this conversation got deep. I thought it was going to be nice and relaxing.
I don't even know what I've said. I'm like.
And you haven't even had a
Can we talk about Rome? We've had some amazing holidays. I'm very much looking forward to our next holiday, though, by the way. When are we going to go on holiday again?
So Rome, actually, this is kind of perfect, right? So in Rome, Amsterdam was hilarious. We're not going to talk about that. So Rome was interesting because we walked out the apartment and then bumped into Marla. Like dubstep, deep medi Marla. It was like, what the fuck? It was just a bizarre meet. And then we walked down the road again. And then there's a whole crew of like proper Brits on holiday that recognize you from Countryfile. So it was a really weird combo of like dubstep and Countryfile within 15 minutes of each other. It was so weird.
Two things, both things that I love. I tell you where my worlds did collide. It was 25 years. Metalheads were celebrating their 25th anniversary, and where I live, there's an amazing little restaurant, and they basically
that whole thing, yeah.
Booked this restaurant out, Goldie, on basically you pay a fat stack, and you come along, and you eat a 7-course meal, each one based around famous. I mean, it was brilliant.
No. Because one of the producers, I think, okay, no disrespect, but you kind of fucked up explaining that. I've got to say.
Why?
So one of the producers from Metalheads is also a 5-star chef.
Yeah. Okay,
that's the critical bit you missed out.
Yeah. He was on MasterChef. I remember watching him on MasterChef.
Right.
And so anyway, we rock up.
I'm going to find out who it is while you're talking.
It was full of like, I remember saying to my husband, Buffy, like, this is going to be like full of old school ravers like our age. And lo and behold, it was like amazing because it was fine dining, fine wine, brilliant music, and a big, massive table full of Metalheads drum and bass producers.
Scar, drum and bass producer Scar.
Thank you.
Is a fine dining chef.
John B is a massive Countryfile fan. And
because he lives in the country, of course.
He lives in the countryside and he loves Countryfile. And it's like, well, John B, I'm a massive drum and bass fan and a massive U fan. So we ended up just chatting. We went off for a drink afterwards. We hung out. So big up John B. There you go.
John B's wicked.
As someone said intersectional Rani. I'm loving that.
Actually, so there's a big story about Anita. So a friend of mine, Simon, who's my best friend. Actually, I've got like 3 or 4 best friends. I'm very lucky. So there's like, obviously Kunal Anand, who's on this chat. Decode, who's my co-presenter and musical partner, husband. His Buppy, who's Anita's husband. And
Kunal.
Have I mentioned him? Who else is there? Simon. Fuck.
Simon.
So Simon and I grew up in Birmingham. And Simon, growing up in Birmingham in the 80s and the early 90s was kind of racist. You got called a Paki all the time. And there was a restaurant near Simon's house when he was a kid called Rani's. And he used to walk past it. So Rani became a sort of a racial slur. So they're like, oh, you fucking Rani became a thing. So when we became friends with Anita, we just kept calling her you fucking Rani. It became a thing.
It's also going to be the title of my first drum and bass single.
You fucking Rani.
You fucking Rani. It's how I'm going to come on when I'm DJing. When I'm next DJing. When I play my set at Printworks or Glastonbury, it's like, you fucking Rani.
I love how you've gone straight to Printworks or Glastonbury and not like, when I do a set and work my way up, I'll just parachute in the top.
It's all right. You got to think big. Kids, dream big. Always dream big.
That's how you got there, love. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to. You've got to. Got to keep going. I'm loving everyone's lols.
It's true. It's true. Actually, that's the other thing. So all the causes and shit you're doing, which is just nuts. So you got your trainers. Go on, talk about your trainers. Go on. In fact, now
I'll show you.
It's the Rani plug time. So go on.
So I'm not wearing them because my house is a shoes off policy. Okay, so.
Shabash. Very good.
Indian house,
Shabash.
right? So before I show you the trainers, I was asked to do the Radio 4 appeal for this amazing charity called Frank Water. And I get asked to do a lot of charity stuff, and there are some that I like that you can't support them all, but then there are some that just really touch a nerve. And basically the reason I support this charity is because they essentially provide water for marginalized communities in India and Nepal, like people that don't even have access to their own land. So they get them land rights and they build sort of proper water systems. They don't just turn up and give them a bucket and go, good luck. They kind of build water systems, educate them, leverage kind of funds that are available locally, work with local NGOs. But the woman who runs it is a total badass, right? Katie Alcott went backpacking to India at 18, drank some dirty water, got severely sick, like so diabolically ill, got some terrible bug, was like laid out for a couple of months in someone's house, eventually flew home as an 18-year-old. Most of us would think, I'm never going to go back to that country ever again. She basically thought, if that happened to me, what could happen? What's happening to the children who live there who can only drink that water?
Yeah.
So she set up the charity, and it's still a really small Bristol charity run by these brilliant people. And she asked me if I wanted to collaborate with this amazing shoe designer based up in Manchester, another woman, another badass woman, Tashka Shoes, and design a trainer. And look at that, that's recycled.
That's it.
Look at that design on the side.
Oh, that's proper Prince-like. That's fucking cool. It's like Mendy and Prince.
Yeah, and basically, it's like, it's going to be I love trainers. I love.
Dude, can you get me one of them made in black?
I don't know. We could try.
That's
yeah, maybe.
Wicked. I'd rock them in black. That's fucking
But how
cool.
good is that, right? So basically that, thank you. And pink, right? Why pink? Because if you're going to have a trainer for life, you've got to have the bright. I've got so many white pairs, a pink pair, and also pink is India's navy blue, right? So anyway, there you can buy these. You can buy these.
Pink is
and
India's navy blue. That's
for every
great.
trainer you purchase, one person will get water for life, right? And you can have, and I don't believe in throwaway culture. I believe in supporting small local businesses. I believe in, you know, good quality stuff. Yeah, so there you go.
Nice.
Good trainers.
Nice.
Oh, I've just been up to loads of stuff.
Holy shit. Selena's here. Aria's here. Aki's here from New York. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Yeah, I wouldn't wear those trainers, but maybe I would. If I
reckon I could get you in a pair. I'm going to get you in a pair. Don't worry. I'll see if I can get you a black pair.
Look what's in front of me, actually. So the whole pink paisley thing is like this.
Oh, wow. Oh,
it's
wow.
Robbie Schindler's book. It's kind of the same sort of vibe.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Ah.
I'm sure Anushka will. I'll get Anushka in a pair.
Yeah, standard. But yeah, maybe I'll get.
Oh, people love them. Thanks, gang. Thanks. I'm loving that you love the pink shoes. Thanks.
Yeah,
but
man.
yeah. So I've been super busy. Lockdown's been good. How have you been in lockdown?
Oh, doing this every Wednesday to stay sane. That's it. This whole thing has just been to sort of like have some sort of regularity and get drunk with a buddy. Literally, this has been the most fun. Is just sort of getting pissed with a friend every Wednesday.
Yeah, lovely.
It's been great.
Yeah, it's been really good. And I'm filming Countryfile as well. It's the last one I did is on Sunday, Epping Forest. I must say,
how are you shooting like right now? Like, how is that working? All this lockdown shit.
Yeah, so
you must be like distant and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so all the interviews you'll see are kind of 2 meters apart, and I've got basically it's such a pared down crew. Normally when I'm on Countryfile, cameraman, director, sound, researcher, runner, there's a hefty little crew of us. And now for the last 2 that I've done, it's just me and a cameraman, and that's it. So I'm essentially directing, like dealing with everyone behind the camera. It's quite full on. It's like, but it's amazing. It just feels like we're living through something, and that you've got to everyone has to get on with it.
Yeah,
and
man.
I've got an amazing cameraman who lives 1 street away. That's
wicked.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And this Sunday I'm in Epping Forest, but for anybody who does feel like, I mean, it is such a weird time that we're living in, but being in nature, having grass underfoot and just like being amongst trees, it just does wonders for your mental health. It really does.
I can imagine you running up to a tree and a sheep hugging.
Honestly, stuff. You know I'm not a hippie. You know I'm not.
This is the fucking problem I have, because I know you're not, and it's just so in my head it's so funny. It's just
no. No,
Country
I'm
Fun
not.
Anita and then Raver Anita, two separate
You
beings
can
in my
be.
head.
You can be two. You can be all. You can be all of the one. No, no. To love. No, you
Fucking,
can be.
even that just then is a hippie statement. You can be everything.
Why? How are being a raver and like loving the countryside two like distinct, different, separate things?
Fair.
You can do both.
It sounds like you're into like side trance.
Take that back. Popley. That's disgusting. Sorry to all your side trans lovers out there, but no.
Oh my God, actually, there's something we're working on, which is, oh yeah, Lulu is saying you love hippies. I kind of do. I've got a lot of friends that are hippies, which is kind of annoying, actually. It's really, really, really fucking annoying. But yeah, there is some good inside trance. I will give you that.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking?
This bourbon called Old Forester,
Mm.
which is okay because I'm like a good Jew bastard. I need to get value for money. I'm saying it, not you. And it's like, in fact, I'm not. I should get like sponsored by them. Why am I like giving them a free plug? But anyway,
yeah, we are the opposite because we're like these mad Punjabis, essentially the Irish of India. Whenever we have any booze, we're like, "Come to our house, drink all the booze, drink it." Okay, bye. Okay, we've drunk all the booze.
That's what happens. That's what happens.
Yeah,
actually, you have to come over and do that here again soon.
Yeah.
There was that one night where our neighbours complained about us.
Oh, we've got good neighbours.
Yeah.
Let's not start talking about complaining neighbours.
I know. I know. Like first world problems. Ah,
exactly.
So actually,
yay!
So that's what I was going to get at. There's a side trance thing with Pav soon, I think.
Can we talk about me being in Pavan's blooming video and how awesome is all these new
Not
stuff
yet.
is?
Not yet. Not
oh,
yet.
okay.
Not yet. Not yet. Shush. Okay, you've given that away. Fuck. Okay, there you go. But anyway.
That is like exclusive. You've just heard it for the first time.
Sorry, Pav.
It's like a dream come true, man. So
Pavan from Foreign Beggars is, in fact, exactly what we were talking about. The Pavan just like, no. So Pavan from Foreign Beggars is basically, again, we were talking about sort of people that are brown and carving their own path in the world and doing shit that's not really like arranged. Like you got arranged marriages, you got arranged careers.
So much love already. We've been giving you big props. But go on, sorry.
It's all right. No, you got like arranged marriages, then you got arranged careers, and I think the thing is that all the brown freaks that I know, or a lot of them, have to carve their own paths, like you, Anita, and in fact, a lot of people that I've spoken to on my weekly pissed up conversations. And Pav, the new project, is fascinating because it's kind of turning an awful lot of that on its head and focusing it. So that is pretty special, and I can't say anything else.
But it's amazing.
Shut up.
Shut up. Good.
Shut up.
All good.
But also, he does water charity stuff as well. So you both got that in common. You both do hydration, charitable hydration. So, yeah.
Water. If you have water, no life. That's it. Like it's a basic human right, or it should be, to have access to water. And now we know, like, have the ability to wash your hands with all this blooming corona madness. It's like.
Do you know what the best thing I have bought? Talking about water, is my portable bidet. The best fucking thing I've ever had in my, all this studio equipment, all the records, everything in my whole life, like everything.
Hang on, so what? To like clean your ass, you mean?
Yeah. So like,
and you love your neti pot as well, don't you? So do you have one squeezy thing for your ass and one for your nose? You're basically like.
The one for my arse is battery powered, right? So basically, and like, come on, let's all get this right? Is that?
Did everyone hear that? Did everyone just hear?
No, but no, everyone.
There's a battery powered water shooter for his
for
bum
my
bum.
Listen, we might get cut off.
No, I've got to go. I've got to get on with the. I've got to get on with my domestic life.
You don't want to keep talking about this.
No.
Okay, fine. Right. Well, thank
you. You.
I love you too. We'll leave it on my battery powered bum cleaner.
Let's do this again. I want to get you on mine. I love you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. We've talked a lot of deep shit, and I really enjoyed it. And
a lot of shit cleaning also.
Yeah, I love that we've left it on the bum, on the potty note.
Portable bidets, the way to go.
Thanks, Nerm.
Discerning brand.
I'll get you some of these.
Yeah. Okay, my love. See you soon.
See you. Bye. Bye.